Hey, I just wanted to get on here real quick for any of y'all who are concerned about failure or having failed in the past or having tried a whole bunch of things in the past, or maybe this is your third, fourth, fifth go at trying to start your business or trying to go full time with your creative hustle. Let me just put it like this. You see, I have gray hair, right? Which means that likely I've done a lot of things right and I've done a lot of things wrong, right? And even this YouTube venture that I'm doing right now is probably my 13th attempt at moving forward and getting momentum towards success in general, right? I have been an actor, a stand-up comedian. I've been a comedy writer. I've been a sketch comedian. I've been a banker. I've been a corporate trainer. I've been I've had a lot of jobs, okay? A whole lot of sales, retail sales. I've had a lot of jobs, all trying to push toward that elusive thing called success. And of course, I went to school. I went to went to a 4-year college. Ended up being 6 years because I transferred, lost a bunch of credits, went across state lines. Didn't realize I would lose an entire year of school. But maybe I'm speaking to some of you out there that have gone through a similar experience and feel like, man, I've spent so much time wasting years, wasting time, wasting effort. I got this degree that I don't use. I got all these certifications that I don't even use anymore because I do a whole different job. Well, I want to let you know that nothing is wasted, right? It feels like it. It really does sometimes, especially if you got student loans. I still do, okay? But it feels really bad when you got student loans, you got this debt, you got all this stuff you tried to do, and it's just a mountain of bills or like these half-started attempts. And of course, your family's asking you questions, your wife is asking you questions, your husband's asking you questions, like when is all this stuff you're doing gonna pay off? And so you get to a point where you don't really want to tell them everything because you feel like, man, if they knew everything I was doing and sacrificing to try to make this dream work, they may not support me. And that's a real concern. That's a real fear, right? You want your loved ones to love you, but you kind of know that they want results and you want results too. You want it way more than they do, but they're looking at you sideways like, okay, this is your 6th time trying to be successful. What's going on with you? And so let me say this again. Nothing's wasted. Everything I've ever done, even my college degree, even though I don't use it anymore. And let me tell you what I got it in. I got it in landscape architecture. Landscape architecture. So what in the world does that have to do with anything? It doesn't. I'm gonna be honest with you. It doesn't. But you know what? If you've ever applied for a job and you have a college degree, what's the first thing a lot of these jobs ask for? A college degree, right? Do they ask you what your major was? Unless your degree has anything specific to do with that job posting, probably not. They just want to know that you got it, right? Why? Because if they know if you spent 2 to 4 years committed to any one thing and to see that thing through, more than likely you'll spend 2 to 4 years committed to that position. That's all they care about. It's a weeding out process just to see, were you willing to stick out something long enough to see the end result? And that's really all this is all about. It doesn't matter how many times you failed. It doesn't matter how many times you've tried at something. Did you stick around long enough to get the end result? Did you accomplish the mission? And if you failed or you stumbled and you got back up, are you still on track? Or are you still moving toward completing the mission, right? Because success is this really confusing, shapeless thing where you could have, I know millionaires who don't feel successful. You know why? Because they hang out with people who have more money than they do, right? I know people who have $2 million and they hang around people who have $10 million, and the $2 million people feel like they're not successful. They consider themselves middle class. And I'm looking at them like, you are insane. I've seen people with $5 million worried about running out of money. And they still eat at Captain D's. Okay? They still eat at Captain D's, and they're worried about running out of money, and they got $5 million. It's not really the money, it's the psychology, right? And that's why I'm saying don't worry about this idea of, oh, I failed or I've tried and nothing worked and I'm trying to be successful and success is eluding me. Because let me tell you, even when you get there, you may not feel like everything's ticked off, like all the boxes are ticked off. You may not feel that way, right? When you get to the end of that, when you have all that money in your account, you may still feel like there's some nagging thing that's bothering you. So what I'm going to ask you to do today is write down those things that you really feel like will make you successful, right? Write down all the jobs you've had, all the businesses you've tried, all the things you have tried and failed. List them out. Try to find the common theme. Like, are you trying to express a certain creative passion of yours and you just thought it would be easier to do something more established or conventional? Or are you just looking for this idea of, well, once I get a bunch of money, everything will be fine? Like, I promise you it will not. Okay? Or, okay, what are you trying to do with this list of things? And then write another list that says, all right, what do I need to feel successful? Is it a dollar amount in the bank account? Is it a house worth a certain amount of money? Is it a wife and kids? Is it a big yard? Is it a boat? Like, what is it? Figure out what success is. List all the things that you've done to try to get the success and try to understand, like, what's going on in here that makes you achieve these things and actually work toward these things, but still not feel comfortable, or what made you stop doing these things over here with your, the list of things you tried. Why did you stop those things, right? Because there's the gut. You call it spirit, call it God, whatever. There's the gut that tries to push you toward the thing you're supposed to do. There's your brain that tries to figure out the rational way to do that, which means that you tend to try to think about what's realistic, right? What's practical. Your gut says, shoot for the moon. Your brain says, hey, you don't have a rocket ship. Maybe just hang glide, right? Like, that's rational and reasonable. That's something you can do, right? And then your heart might be wounded from past trauma, and your heart might say, well, the last time you tried something like that, you failed. So don't even hang glide. Don't even worry about the moon. Just be happy walking on the ground. Be grateful to be able to walk on the ground, right? So you have those three things fighting for you. Your gut is always going to try to get you to do the biggest thing. Your brain is going to try to water that down into practical steps. And it can be useful, but it can also limit you, right? And your heart, depending on how you were raised and your limiting beliefs and your support structure, it may stop you before you take your first step, right? So what I really want you to do is understand, number one, whatever you tried in the past, I guarantee you will use those skills again. Here I am on YouTube talking to you about whatever, right? It uses my combination of corporate training, all right, my stand-up comedy presentation skills, the fact that I know about video production, right? It doesn't take a genius you don't need video production skills to learn how to use a phone camera, but that knowledge still helps me understand how to edit and how to work with video files. Everything I'm doing is a result of what I've done. Even my bachelor's degree, even though it didn't help me with the jobs that I eventually got, I still needed to have that qualification to get the jobs I got. So it still helped me, right? Nothing is wasted. Don't feel like you wasted your time doing something, because I guarantee you, a skill that you learn on one of those jobs or one of those ventures or one of those creative outings, it will come back and you'll be able to use it. And people will say, "Why? How are you so talented? How do you know how to do X, Y, and Z?" Well, it's because 10 years ago, you did that thing. And you know what also too? It gives you experience to have a lot of stories, and it makes you human, right? If you've ever been at a networking event where someone only knows how to do one thing and they've only done one thing their entire lives, or life, it's like the conversation can only go so long, right? But if you talk to someone who used to be a singer, who used to tour with like Usher or somebody, and and they just did all these things, and now they're like a financial advisor, you're like, what? Tell me the story of that. That's interesting, right? Failure doesn't make you weak, doesn't make you bad. It doesn't mean you're a failure. It just means that you've basically seasoned this dish called your life, and it's going to be like when you finally finish that dish, it's going to be really tasty and really spicy, and it's going to be something that's very attractive to the people who eventually understand the genius that is you. And all those failures and all those things you tried are ingredients for that thing that will eventually shape you and drive you into your future and drive you into success. Okay? So nothing's wasted. You'll always use the skills from a previous endeavor, a previous attempt at something. It will come back. I promise you. Okay? So don't worry about whether or not you did something wrong, what your family said, what your reputation is. Just keep pressing forward, because you are sharpening that blade to a fine edge, and you'll be able to cut through any obstacle as long as you keep moving toward the goal. All right? Y'all have a great day. See y'all later.